Okay, here we are. Welcome to the Return to Food 7-Day Challenge. This is day one. It is Monday. And I'm so excited that you made it here. For many of you, it is a public holiday. And so waking up, and if you're on the west coast of North America, you're waking up on an early day to start off a challenge. And I want to congratulate you for showing up, because a lot of people are in a state of feeling not so vibrant, not so healthy, and it's because in some ways they've kind of slipped back to a place of comfort and complacency. And maybe you've experienced that yourself. You know what that's like, and you're here for a little kickstart to actually get your food, your eating, the way you're feeling, your body, to where it's actually meant to be. Because we live in a time where there is temptation everywhere. It's just crazy how we are inundated with temptation, and it's really hard to find the food that you want. Not so much find it, but screen out the stuff that you know is not serving you. So I want to congratulate you for showing up today to be here for the Return to Food 7-Day Challenge. This is the inaugural one, so you are right at the beginning of a movement that is going to be something quite unique and special and global. So thanks for showing up. So today, Monday, the first day of the challenge, we're talking about, in the challenge, the lethal recipe, we're going to talk about the consumption of sugar. And sugar is a big one. And we're going to work at getting refined sugar out of our diet and all the synthetic forms of sweeteners and sugars that are actually literally sucking life force from us and slowing our energy down and literally removing nutrients from our body. So we really want to get back on track to be getting all the nutrients we can possibly get into our body. So the first thing I'd like you to do is just to kind of get quiet. Just kind of sit with your body and see how it's feeling now. See how you've woken up. Have you woken up with a great deal of energy? Have you woken up with calmness? Have you woken up with angst? And just to get centered and get quiet, just take some deep breaths. Get centered and quiet. How are you feeling? Just check in with your body. Head to toe, scan it. And now, while you hear my voice, if you're able to, close your eyes. And I'm assuming you're not watching this driving, so hopefully you'll be able to close your eyes. And just start to get quiet. Start to feel the emotions, be aware of the thoughts that are with you in this morning as you're waking up. Or whatever time of the day you're actually watching this. To really be present with how you're feeling. Are you feeling any anxiety? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling challenged on the first day of the challenge? Just to tap in to how it is you're feeling. Just to scan over and think about what's good in your life right now. What do you want more of? What would you like to keep of that? And what's most challenging you right now? What are you excited about? Is there sadness in your life right now? Just to tap in, to tune into those emotions, those thoughts, the feelings. Because this morning, what we're going to do is we're going to start out by setting an intention for the 7-day challenge. And that intention to tie in with our life and how that feels. How do you want to feel consistently? Because we know that how you eat, the foods you choose, will impact the way you feel. And if you've been eating what we call the lethal recipe for a long time, you're going to find that throughout this 7-day challenge, you're going to be challenged on a lot of respects, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And so the 7-day challenge is designed to take care of you in every quadrant of that area of who you are as a being, to bring you information, tools, tips, and strategies to help you get through it. And as you start to remove the lethal recipe from what you're eating, you're going to start to notice some things will be happening with your body. You're going to feel the pull of addiction, because these foods, the way they're processed, as you'll learn in the video today, the videos today, if you haven't already read Return to Food, is they're processed like very addictive drugs. And so when you're starting to remove them from your diet, and the habits that we form around having these foods, the rituals that we form around having these foods, you're going to have a void. You're going to have a feeling of wanting to eat those foods. And so we need to have things that we can replace instead. So let's start out with your intention. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, or you write in your computer, you can open your eyes now and start to jot down some of the things that you'd like to achieve over the next 7 days. Just in the next 7 days. Maybe write 3 things down. And then, when you've got 3 things down, I want you to go beside each point that you've made and just jot down the feeling that would come from you accomplishing that. Because remember, confidence is built by us keeping our promises. So even just getting through the 7 days and doing the work, watching the assignments, watching the recipes, maybe even preparing the recipes, looking at our cupboards, the ingredients that are there that you know are not serving you, and replacing them with ones that do. So what are the 3 things you'd like to get out of the 7-day challenge? And how would they make you feel? What would be the result of that? Maybe it's giving up soft drinks, which is a big one for Monday on the challenge. We were talking about sugar and artificial sweeteners, which are highly addictive. Remember, I had a client who was a career alcoholic, and after 10 days of hypernourishing him, we got him off alcohol, and he didn't miss alcohol, but he had the toughest time getting off of Diet Coke. So we often underestimate, we think because it doesn't have refined sugar in it and it has artificial sweeteners, that it wouldn't be as addictive, but it can be super highly addictive for many people. So what is the thing you want to accomplish? The 3 things, how do they make you feel? It's a tangible result that can actually come from actually fulfilling that intention. If you're removing the lethal recipe from your way you're eating, you know you're definitely going to have chemicals that are being taken out. And if you've been eating really well, if you've been following the principles of return to food for a while, what is it that you're doing right now that could actually be upgraded? That you know that if you took this one step, if you eliminated this certain food that you're gravitating towards, or this beverage that you drink on a regular basis, if you took that out, how do you think that would make you feel by the end of 7 days? What would that bring to your life? What could you do with the extra energy and mental clarity that it might be holding you back from actually accessing? So intention's powerful. What is your intention? Okay, so one of the things that you can do with that is you can come back to that, and it can change every day. And you can set a new intention for each day, and you can set an intention around the different foods that you have in your household, ones you gravitate towards. And it can also be looking at the foods that you know your body is really needing, and you might be resisting a little bit. So what are those foods that you know that when you eat them, your body just sings and it feels great? But maybe you've gone into a little place of complacency and you're not preparing it, or you're not going to shop for it, or you're not seeking it out and finding it. Maybe that could be an intention to start to include that. And really just to kind of tap into that this act of joining the 7-day challenge, being part of it, is truly about an act of self-love. And so with each choice that you make, you can start to tap into, is this an act of self-love, or is this an act of self-sabotage? And that leads to that question is what I'm choosing right now an act of intention or impulse? And as you start to learn how addictive the lethal recipe is, these foods are in your diet, you're going to start to realize that so often you're reaching for it is an impulse. And most of the time, that impulse is really, we're guided or drawn to something. That impulse comes out of a habit, a behavior. Just like someone would have a cigarette, an impulse when they're feeling a moment of discomfort. You can actually be choosing that food because in the moment you're feeling discomfort. And goodness knows I have done this for most of my life. You're choosing that food to distract you, to suppress a feeling, or to bring out, say, a feeling. Like that's why we often choose dairy and wheat, is because they have opiates in it, and opiates make us feel, that warm, self-loving kind of feeling, if not for a fleeting moment. And when we're not able to replicate that within ourselves, we'll often try food or eat a food or go back to a food or maybe a non-food that gives us that little impulse, that little sugar hit, that little opiate high, that little infusion, caffeine, whatever it is, to give us the feeling that we're seeking, and in the moment we can't bring ourselves to elicit from within ourselves. So remember, each day of the challenge, it's about stepping into that place of self-love, of actually making a decision that I'm really here to serve my body, and by serving my body and really giving it what truly nourishes, energizes, and protects it, makes it feel good from the inside out, a lasting place where you've got those even moods, right? That when you do this, you're going to be in a much better place to serve everyone else in the world and what it is that you truly want to accomplish. So think about what you're choosing throughout the day and ask yourself, is this something that comes from intention or impulse? It's pretty easy to distinguish when you're aware of it and cognizant of it. But just by that simple act of bringing awareness into why you're choosing that, why you're actually reaching into that cupboard, or why you're reaching into the food, or why you're putting the kettle on, right? Is this a habit? Is it a ritual? Is it an act of avoidance? Just the ability to start to observe can help us to make shifts and change. And one of my favorite quotes, because I've never been particularly fond of discipline, consistency, there are definitely some things that I really need to consistently work on in my life. And I was very discipline resistant. And the thought, one of the worst things in the world was the thought of joining the army and having to wake up in the wee hours of the morning and go into basic training. That was just horrible to me. So discipline was not one of my strong points. But one of the things that actually changed it has enabled me to develop discipline in certain areas of my life, and I'm certainly growing and needing others, was the quote that says, discipline is remembering what you want. So instead of framing it as something that I'm missing out on or I have to do, but the act of actually being aware and cognizant around what you're eating, the act of being disciplined to just even be aware rather than just kind of mindlessly eating and shutting it down, is an act of pleasure, of actually really tapping into what it is you truly want. So when you set the intention for your day, when you set the intention for your week, when you set the intention for your life of what it is, you start to create the actions and the behaviors that act in harmony with what it is that you wish to create. And we're not perfect. This week is not about obtaining perfection, which is why there are no diet plans, there's no meal plans. This is a process of observing what we have on our table, what we have in our cupboards, what we have in our fridge, and how we can actually move that towards what it is that's going to serve our highest good, our body's highest good and the planet's highest good, because they are one and the same. What's good for the body is good for the planet. What's good for the planet is good for the body. So remembering what you want is about tapping into that intention. I want to wake up feeling energetic. I want to wake up feeling even moods. I want to wake up not feeling like I need another 8 hours sleep. Or I want to feel when I wake up, I'm recharged and refreshed, that my body hasn't been digesting complex foods, trying to break that down, and the chemicals that can actually come, in our food, even inadvertently. How do you want to feel when you wake up in the morning? And that is one of the most powerful tools for getting on the track of returning to food and eating real food every day, is when you start to eat with awareness and mindfulness. How will that actually make you feel in an hour? So while you're eating it, you usually get the high if it's something from the Lethal Recipe. While you're eating it, after you've eaten it, and how do you feel the next day? Do you notice a certain kind of puffiness around the eyes, a little squinty, kind of that? Do you notice that your energy is low, that your mood, you're kind of grumpy? The great thing about eating well and returning to eating real food is the internal kind of guidance and grounding that it gives you. And it's really powerful. So it's the kind of thing that when things are over the top exciting, you have kind of this groundedness. And you're able to be present to enjoy it, because so often what happens is we often experience intense moments of joy. And because we're not fully present for it, we're fearful that it's going to be fleeting or what's going to happen next, rather than just being present in that moment. And the other thing too is that when we are taking care of ourselves, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, nourishing ourselves in all of those areas, when things are difficult, when we are challenged, and we as a human species in the world we're living in today, we're going to be challenged, right? You have this even kind of mood that knows no matter what, you can handle it. It'll be all right. And you find yourself, as your body is really getting what it needs, to be really grounded in difficult situations. And it's quite amazing when that happens. So if you're coming back to your intention of what it is you wish to accomplish in this week, you're going to figure out what it is that it's actually giving to you. How is that going to make you feel? And I really want you to tap into how that's going to make you feel. And to start to make a list of just a few things. Don't make it overwhelming. Of what it is that you'd like to do. And commit to 3 of those things this week. 3 things that you know are going to make a difference in your life. And because you've made those choices, it's going to have a ripple effect of affecting everyone in your life. You're going to start to feel better about your body because you're actually giving it what it needs, nourishing it, protecting it against disease, loving it. So every mouthful of food, every drink that you put into your body is a way of actually expressing love to yourself. Great. Okay, so I'm just going to check and see who we have online and to see if we have any questions. So are any questions coming up for you? Just tap them into a chat, pop them into the chat, and I would be more than happy to answer them. We have 7 minutes left in the Return to Food Challenge. So while that is actually happening, just in case there may not be any questions that are actually coming up in the group chat, I want to just go through what's happening with day 1, Monday. So in your dashboard, what's actually being put up there right now is the video for the sugar, which is all about, the philosophy, the Lethal Recipe. And there is a meditation, so a Sweet Life meditation, so to basically get you kind of grounded. So it's not too dissimilar to this this Google Hangout, only it's more of a meditation. You get to basically just sit quietly with yourself and start to evoke the sweet life. So often we are choosing sugar in our life because we want a bit of sweetness, and this meditation is just to help us, and it's just really a reset for our mind and our thinking around sugar and sweetness. So looking for ways to actually get sweetness out of your life that don't involve sweet things. And we also have a guest interview an expert interview from Damon Gameau, who is the producer, director, and star of That Sugar film. He's an actor in Australia. If you haven't heard about this film already, I did a Google Skype interview with him, and that will be in your members section. You're also going to get a recipe for a coconut haystack, which is, if you're looking for that kind of sugary sweetness in your life, but you don't want refined sugar, this is a super easy recipe that anyone can do, and it's brought to you by Chancy Dawn, who is one of our Return to Food coaches on Vancouver Island. And I know, Chancy, you have a lot of your tribe that are on the challenge, so that's very exciting. And this recipe is super delicious, super easy. You can actually be making it within 5 minutes. It's no bake, no refined sugar, and it's a delicious kind of replace principle recipe for what most people would have as the lethal recipe option for that recipe. So you have that. You also have a little botanical detox elixir recipe, and that is pretty basic. Most people know about this, but often people forget how powerful these things can be. And that is lemon, ginger, and honey. So raw honey and fresh ginger, fresh lemon with a little bit of spring water in it. You can add, for a little bit of an extra boost, you can have a bit of apple cider vinegar, a little dash of cayenne pepper. And basically, this is a great thing to start the morning off, to get your immune system kicking off and really helping towards repairing gut health, and helping you to start that process of cleansing what is in your body from the day before. So that's your botanical elixir. You've got your recipe for the coconut haystacks, and you've got a video of that and a PDF, as well as a PDF if you want to start to delve in deeper about sugar. Of course, we have a good section of it in Return to Food. If you don't have your copy already, it's in there, and we have lots of information and videos that you can actually start to look and check and see what it is about sugar that you need to know, and really trust your gut and your intuition. There's probably more information than you probably have time for today, but if you are a superstar and you get through it, three gold stars to you. That's great. And I'm just checking, see in the chat room, do we have any questions? Nothing's actually coming up right now. Great. Okay. Well, I'm going to, if there are no questions here, let's see. I know that's ridiculous. I really need these. I'm just going to get you to get centered. Just tap in to your intuition, your instinct. Tap into your heart and your gut to get clear about what it is you want to achieve throughout this 7-day challenge. To remember that discipline is a simple act of remembering what it is that we want. And to be aware of our impulses throughout the day today that might call us to eat something that's not serving us, and to have a mindfulness around the resources that you have to keep on track, to start to shift from the lethal recipe to nature's principle, the foods that are truly going to nourish, energize, and protect you, and to do this from a deep place of self-love. So to those of you who have woken up early to get on this this Google Hangout, I want to congratulate you, and I want to send you the very best wishes to start your day, not just with a smile and a good intention for the day, but a pat on the back for this act of self-love and the ones that you're going to be doing for the rest of the day. So remember, we have the Facebook page to ask any questions, to report if you want to show off what you've been cooking today or preparing, or the choices that you've made. By all means, if you are horrified about a food and you see an ingredient label that you want to share, and then share the alternative that you're actually replacing with, all of that can actually happen in the Facebook group, and I encourage you to be part of that. If you haven't already introduced yourself to the group, please do so, and to know that the resources will be showing up in the Facebook page initially, and then in your inbox through the dashboard, the member dashboard for the Return to Food 7-Day Challenge. So sending you heaps of love and positive vibes for your day of the first day of the Return to Food Challenge. And also on the Facebook page, if you want to share your intentions, please do. It is a wonderful community that's going to be beautifully supportive. I welcome you to really embrace it, and I look forward to sharing my thoughts and ideas with you in the Facebook group. And so tomorrow, 7 a.m., the Google Hangout, we are talking about the second day of the Return to Food Challenge, and I look forward to seeing you there. Take care.